Before we begin, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for being part of the story.
It all began about 10 years ago. At the time, I was living with my mother in a bustling city, just the two of us. My father had passed away when I was very young, so young, in fact, that I barely remembered him. My life was ordinary, typical of someone from a middle-class background. Nothing out of the ordinary. After finishing school, I got a job as an office worker. Each day blurred into the next, filled with noise, pressure, and relentless stress. More than once, I found myself wondering, is this really all there is? Isn't there something more to life? But I kept those thoughts buried deep. I told myself this was just the way things were. I couldn't see any way out, so I kept my head down and pushed forward one day at a time. Then one day something happened that changed everything. I got a long-distance call from my aunt, my father's sister. Even though my father had passed away long ago, I still kept in touch with her now and then. She told me she wanted me to come visit. There was a house she wanted to give me. It had belonged to my uncle, my father's older brother, who had recently passed away. He hadn't had any children, and he had left the house to me. My father and uncle had been very close, and after my uncle's death, my aunt thought it was only right that I at least come see the house. At first, I was hesitant, caught between curiosity and doubt. I didn't know what to make of the offer, but since she had taken the trouble to call me, I felt it would be rude to just ignore the offer completely. So I decided to drive over and take a look, at least. When I arrived, my aunt explained that the house had once belonged to my grandparents a long time ago, and had eventually been passed down to my uncle. But for years, it had stood empty. My uncle had taken possession of the house, but he had never lived in it. My aunt admitted she always felt something strange about the place, unsettling, though she couldn't say exactly why. That was part of why she wanted me to see it for myself. And if I didn't like it, I was free to sell it, leave it, or do whatever I want with it. Even though her words didn't exactly put me at ease, my curiosity got the better of me. So, I decided to go check it out. About 30 minutes from my aunt's home, I arrived at the property. It was tucked deep in the forest, far removed from anything resembling civilization, like something out of a painting. Tall trees swayed gently in the breeze, surrounding the house in a kind of quiet reverence. The house itself was a 2-story concrete structure, weathered and clearly neglected. The outer walls were cracked, with vines climbing all the way up to the windows. It felt like stepping into another world, calm, cool, and timeless. Birdsong echoed faintly through the trees. The once white paint had faded into a dull gray, streaked with dark stains. Many of the windows were cracked, their frames brittle with age. When I stepped inside, I found a wide hallway on the first floor connecting several rooms. To the right was a bedroom. Farther in was a small kitchen and a staircase that led to the second floor. Under the stairs, there was a tiny, hidden storage room, a perfect hiding spot for the children to play hide and seek. Upstairs, there were 2 bedrooms. The master still held some old furniture, an aged wooden bed, a dusty wardrobe, and a vanity with a cracked mirror. I wandered through the house for quite some time. Something about it felt off. Dust coated every surface, and the air was thick with the scent of long abandonment. And yet, when I stood by the window and looked out, saw the trees swaying, felt the breeze, heard the quiet, I thought to myself, this place isn't so bad, actually. There was something peaceful here, something grounding. And that day, in that stillness, I made a decision. That this house, this forgotten place, would be the beginning of a new chapter in my life, a turning point, a chance to start over. I quit my job and brought only the essentials with me to move into this house. At the time, I had no clear plan, just the thought that I needed to rest first. After that, I would figure out how to move forward with my life. After sweeping, mopping, cleaning, and trimming the grass around the house, I finished moving everything in. That marked the first night I would be staying here. I slept in the master bedroom, lying on the old wooden bed that had already been there. During the day, the house felt wonderful, quiet, peaceful, surrounded by nature. It was the perfect place to relax. But when night fell and darkness set in, the atmosphere changed entirely. It became eerily silent. No birds, no insects, not even the sound of wind rustling through the trees. The stillness was so complete that even the tiniest sound stood out. It felt unsettling. But I didn't dwell on it and eventually drifted off to sleep. Still unfamiliar with my surroundings, I tossed and turned uneasily before finally falling asleep, without even realizing when. Then, around 2 a.m., I woke up to a strange noise from downstairs. It sounded like something bumping softly. Curious, I got up, turned on the flashlight on my phone, and cautiously opened the bedroom door to check. The moment I did, the sound stopped. I walked downstairs, scanning the area carefully, but found nothing out of the ordinary. So I shrugged it off and went back to bed. But not long after I lay down, the sound returned. Identical to before. This time, I figured it might just be the old wooden structure settling. That thought brought me some comfort, and I managed to fall asleep peacefully for the rest of the night. The first night passed without further incident. On the evening of the second day, while cleaning downstairs, I wiped down various surfaces. At one point, as I was cleaning a large window, I saw something in the reflection that made my heart stop. Behind me, in the glass, was the clear image of an elderly woman wearing a traditional dress walking by. Startled, I spun around, but no one was there. And yet the reflection had been so vivid, so unmistakably real. Still, I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but the experience rattled me enough that I stopped cleaning and went straight to bed. That night, I was once again jolted awake, this time by the sound of slow, steady footsteps moving just outside my bedroom. The footsteps echoed through the hallway, and then stopped. Moments later, the knocking sound returned, just like the night before. I was frozen with fear. I didn't dare leave the bed. I lay completely still, too afraid to move, and waited until morning. When I got up and checked the house, everything was exactly as I'd left it. Nothing was missing or out of place. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. It made me start to wonder if there really was something unusual about the house, just like my aunt had mentioned. By the third night, I was so unsettled that I knew I couldn't go on like this. But I needed answers. I decided I wouldn't sleep that night. I would stay alert and find out where the sounds were coming from once and for all. Sure enough, just like clockwork, around 2 a.m. the same knocking returned, echoing from downstairs. I was ready. I jumped out of bed, turned on my phone's flashlight, and crept quietly out of the bedroom. As soon as I opened the door, I immediately realized the sound wasn't coming from far away. It was right under the stairs, exactly where I was standing. I slowly walked down the stairs, following the sound. When I reached the bottom, I traced the noise to its source, the small storage room beneath the stairs, the room I hadn't yet cleaned. Strangely, I felt a wave of relief. At least it's not a thief or an intruder, I thought. It sounded like a rat or maybe some small animal scurrying inside the house. That's what I thought anyway. So I went to check the storage room. But the moment I opened the door, I realized I was wrong. Very wrong. The hinges creaked, and instantly a wave of foul, rotting stench slammed into my face. I immediately shone my flashlight into the room. That's when I saw her. An old woman sat on the floor, hugging her knees. She wore a traditional dress. Her gray hair hung to her shoulders in tangled clumps. Her eyes were blank, lifeless, and her mouth moved constantly, as though chewing something. I froze, completely stunned. Nothing in my life had prepared me for this. As I steadied the beam of light on her face, her chewing stopped. Then her lips moved again, this time to speak in a dry, raspy voice.
"This is my house. Get out."
That voice and that image were the last things I remembered. Everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on the floor in front of the storage room door. I sat up, shaken, and peeked inside again. But this time the room was empty. No old woman, no stench, just silence. I didn't hesitate. I left the house immediately and rushed to my aunt's place. desperate to understand what had just happened. When I told her everything, her expression changed. Her usual calm vanished, replaced by something grim, something heavy. And then she told me the truth. The house once belonged to an elderly woman who had lived there alone. She had no family, no one. One day, she told my grandparents she wanted to give the property to them once she passed. She figured it would be better for someone else to take care of it, as it would serve no purpose after her death. 2 years passed. Then one night, a thief broke in. He attacked the old woman and killed her. Then he hid her body in the storage room under the stairs. It took days before anyone discovered what had happened. After that, the house was sealed up and left untouched. No one dared to go back. Eventually, the property was passed down to me. A cold chill ran down my spine. The old woman who was killed? Was that the same old woman I saw in the storage room? I asked my aunt. If you knew all this, why did you let me move in? She admitted she didn't think I'd actually move into the house, not in that condition. She assumed I'd sell it rather than keep it. Hearing that, I somewhat understood. I didn't hold it against her, but from that moment, I made up my mind. I would never go back. I sold the house for cheap and started over somewhere far away. And yet, no matter how far I went, I could never outrun that voice, that image, that nightmare that refuses to fade.